and welcome to IET Author Speak. In this segment, we bring to you expert volunteers of the IET and we will discuss nuances and details of the knowledge products that the IET brings out, which includes white papers, position statements, approach papers, etc. Today, I have with me Dr. Rishi Bhatnagar, who's the chair of the IET's Future Tech panel. He's also the author of a white paper on IoT and future technologies in the age of social distancing. So thank you, Dr. Bhatnagar, for joining us.
Thank you, Anita, for calling me. It's a pleasure to be with you. And thank you for inviting me for the session.
So I'll jump right into the questions, sir. In this white paper on IoT and future technologies in the age of social distancing, you have really spelled out how future technologies will actually help organizations overcome the pandemic. What do you think will be the core role of future technologies in the pandemic and how organizations build their resilience for future?
Yeah. So, Anita, first I like to divide the organization into two kind of organization. One which are the manufacturers of devices and the other which are providing services. Okay. Most of the services provider, and I am focusing more on the Indian environment, most of the services providers like IT services or communication services, they already had a lot of latest technologies already implemented. So, in an IT company, most of the people work on laptops, most of the people use internet, most of their data is on cloud. Okay. So more or less, they moving from their office to the home was not a big deal. Okay. No doubt there was a deal in the sense that there is a data protection act, there is a collaboration more required. But first, they all were equipped to use in a non-office mode, and they can work from a remote location. That was one part. The second is, in a multinational kind of organization, you already have an office in Chicago, you already have an office in London, you already have an office in Tokyo, and then you are sitting in India. So you are already having a collaboration tool, digital ways of working, and virtually you are all connected and you are using those tools to take it move ahead. So there was a less impact of this COVID-19 kind of situation on services companies, especially in the IT and the connectivity services providers. Now coming to the manufacturing, people who had not used, their offices were totally shut. The factories were not moving at all, running at all. The production was absolute zero. Okay. And they had to face the problem. Okay. Yes. Imagine if they would have used Internet of Things or the future technologies, and they could remotely monitor, they could remotely switch on and switch off a machine. They could easily ask a robot to come and put the raw material. Might look exaggerated, but they could have done something. The factories should not have been stopped at absolute zero productivity. Okay, there could have been some level of work that could have happened during that pandemic time. Okay, the good part, I always see optimism. So optimistic view. We had done 100 pilots with factories for a Industry 4.0 or a connected factory kind of solutions. Out of those 100 pilots, only one went to a implementation mode. That too only on one factory and not to the whole organization. That means factories within an organization in last 5 years. Today I am getting a call from all of them to see how soon they can do it. That they could realize that if they would have implemented the future technologies, especially Internet of Things, remotely could monitor and manage, it would have been much better for them and they could have saved themselves from this pandemic's complete lockdown. So in my view, the implementation of future technologies, which will be much higher, this pandemic has really jolted everybody. The boards will not ask how much return of investment it will be. They can see that if they will not invest, their investment currently will become zero productive. So ensure that their current investment continue to be productive, they need to invest.
I think pandemic really provided a good use case and a real-time example for people to, wake up just like you said. What do you think has changed in the implementation space since the pandemic? Do you see successful use cases coming out around implementation?
Definitely, there are different kind of use cases also coming, especially in the my daughters are now taking their classes online. So the schools are getting digital. Okay, healthcare is getting more digital. I am not sure how many people know that the remote telehealth was something which was not allowed legally. Okay, now country is working towards allowing it. It has been allowed now. People are working for remote patient monitoring. Suddenly there was a need for ventilators to be asset monitored. So there are new use cases that started coming. The government implemented. Within 20 days, this Arogya Setu app came up. So what we were not thinking as a need earlier, people had suddenly worked. Everything will now become, people will be much more health conscious, security, safety conscious. We will require a car which can tell me whether when it was sanitized. Okay, who sat last time. Okay, if somebody entering my office, I want to know whether they have a high temperature or not. So instead of putting a thermometer on their head, can I have a screening machine that can tell me? Okay, so and so forth. There are multiple use cases that are coming, and I see more and more implementation in each and every field. So more and
Thank
more
you
use
so
cases will
much
come.
for that perspective, sir. And I know that a lot of this and more is already presented in the white paper. All of you can
Yeah.
download the white paper in the link which is mentioned in our description. So do read and send us all the feedback that you have. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, sir.